Well, hello and welcome to day number 5 of the EMS Leadership Summit. My name is Robbie McHugh.
Hi, I'm Lisa Geritzi. It
Great
is
to be
so
with
great
you
to be
all.
here.
Yes, final day, and we are looking forward to debriefing this full day and really the full week of sessions that we've had here, Lisa. Over 32 speakers in the end, talking about how do we flourish together, ideas to unite and inspire for leaders.
It's been so impressive the real uh, what I want to say combination of both concepts and actionable strategies. Every single presentation in my experience has really been about how to shift the way you think about it and then some ideas for what you can actually do. And I think, that's really what people are looking for.
And really, we want to thank our sponsors for making this possible. Our idea behind the EMS Leadership Summit was to try to democratize this information and make it accessible for folks that don't have that big of a budget, folks that can't maybe travel away to a large national conference, and try to bring a high level of leadership training that historically had been left to only those that really could afford to go out there. So I think we've done that. It's been 5 years. We've run actually 6 summits in those 5 years and just reached over 200 sessions, which I think is a pretty neat achievement.
Yes, absolutely. And our returning speakers have been so great. Our new speakers have been great. Like, it's just been a terrific experience all the way around. And we couldn't offer it for free without our sponsors, that's for sure. And, we really appreciate them. And we hope people will continue to go to the exhibit hall. And we'll go over that in just a minute. I see you have our speakers up for today, so we can kind of review what the topics of today were.
Yes, this morning, Dr. Nadine Levick presented her 5th keynote over the last 5 years. Every year she's been back presenting on the cutting edge of EMS safety and innovation and talking about what to look forward to, what she was talking about a few years ago and how that's now happening. So very neat to see her presentations on the innovations of EMS safety. And she's been a passionate advocate for our industry for years and joined us live from Israel to present that keynote this morning. So that session, we had a lot of activity online on LinkedIn and folks commenting and watching on YouTube. So great to have Dr. Nadine Levick here again at the summit. We had Chris Montana
I just
from,
want to
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say what a dynamo. Like, her energy is unbelievable and unwavering, and after 5 years it's still the same, if not stronger. And I just really appreciate Nadine being such a huge supporter of us at the Academy, and of the impact she's had on the EMS industry has just been huge.
And for those that are watching, drop in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from, where you're joining in from. We'd love to hear that. Love to hear if you've ever watched a keynote of Dr. Nadine Levick, because you almost need a seatbelt because she has so many slides and energy and topics that she covers in less than an hour. So really great session there. And Chris Matana from Mind the Front Line, another passionate speaker that talks about his experience with helping first responders deal with mental health challenges and how do we support our first responders and develop resiliency, and his nonprofit now that he has created with a whole team of advisors that is cataloging coast to coast, state by state, the resources that are culturally competent and the providers that are aware of how to help first responders. So shout out to Chris and Mind the Front Line for pulling that presentation together.
Yeah, really great job. Very, very uh, uh, good amount of material, but not overwhelming. It's really well done.
Julianne Stevenson, who we love, again, another passionate advocate for leadership in the classroom and education, has pulled together a session with some great analogies. If you're a gardener out there, she really talks about tending your garden and when it comes to the classroom. And she brings in multiple stories and experiences of how, if you're an educator and you're in EMS education, how to learn from those situations that she's faced. And she's got some really practical advice there for EMS leaders, for those that are running EMS programs that are teaching educational programs.
Yeah, I love the metaphor of the garden, and I find that metaphors are a great way to teach, and it's really evident what an amazing teacher she is because it's such a great presentation and so well done.
Some of our sponsors here are on the banner at the bottom. So we want to thank Newton 360, Scott Moore, for his software platform. He talked a little bit about it last night on the daily debrief, and we've got an entire booth set up for Newton 360. So we so appreciate their support. And if you're looking for tools that can support your leaders, your supervisors, your managers, making sure they have all the right information that pulls in all this data that's out there. We all spend lots of time putting all this data into EPCR systems, and this pulls the data out of scheduling systems, PCR systems, and puts it in the palm of the supervisor's hand so they can make sure that they're connecting with crews in person and checking in with them if they had difficult calls, if they've been having any type of maybe flags that may pop up. So really innovative there. And Scott's offering time on his calendar and his calendar link. So emsleadershipsummit.com/exhibit, where you can visit all of these sponsored booths. We've got Phase, the patient handling and safety experts, the creators they created the Binder Lift, as well as they are offering a free trial for any agency that wants to get their hands on this innovative device to help make it safer for not only the patients, but the providers as well to lift and move patients, because that's a lot of what we do. They've created a free training course. It's an hour and a half of CAPC approved credits that anybody in your organization can take that really emphasizes proper lifting and moving techniques. And they spent a good amount of resources putting high quality videos together. So they did such a great job. They are also offering a 30-day trial of the Menger Elk, the lifting cushions that can help with a battery powered device lift that patient up off the floor. Again, further improving the dignity when you're of a patient and their experience when they're being helped off the floor, as well as protecting the backs of your most important assets, your people.
Absolutely.
Our friends
Then
at
we have
Ninth.
Ninth Brain,
Yes.
another returning sponsor who we so appreciate. Really great products. If you go to their booth, you'll see the wide array of things that they can help you with, and all in one solution. And so you can kind of pick from column A and put column B, like what things you need in the software program or in the software that they offer. And there's a great video there and an opportunity to connect with their with Bradley Hughes to learn more about what they have to offer. But
Everything from
highly recommend.
scheduling to risk management to checklists, and they've operationalized it all under a single platform and a learning management system, many tools to help optimize your operations. And then also our friends at NAMI HP, the National Association of Mobile Integrated Healthcare Professionals, who is a very innovative association that if you are interested in community paramedicine or you have a community paramedicine program, they have many resources that they can connect with. And they have a whole 12-step guide to a successful community paramedic program, and really resources behind making sure your economics are spot on so that your program is sustainable. So again, you can visit our virtual exhibitor hall, click on any of these booths, and interact with those sponsors. So
I do want to mention there's still time until 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning to watch all of the presentations that we're going over right now. And you just go to booth number 1 at EMS Leadership Summit .com/exhibit. Go to booth 1 and you can go right in and see all of these for free until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern.
And folks, if you have a question about leadership, engagement, retention, a situation that you want to pose to us, we're here for you. We wanted to debrief not only today's speakers, but we'd love to take your questions. So drop them in the chat and we'll be able to see them wherever you're watching from, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We can see all those comments, and we'd love your questions, because we've had a lot of great sessions this week, and we'd love to direct you and point you to maybe a session that you should check out. Lisa, can you tell us a little bit about Ankush and the conversation in the interview that he delivered for this summit today?
Yeah, Ankush is a very good friend of mine. We've known each other since 2014, I believe. He and I met in London at a conference or a workshop that we were attending, and we were fast friends. And he's done a lot of work in very big companies, small companies, working with leaders. And one of his areas of expertise is in this. Um, who are you being? And a lot of times people don't even know what that means, which is
Yeah.
why we put that topic because it's somewhat provocative, right? Like, what do you mean, who am I being? Because people tend to think about leadership as a doing. And he and I have a conversation about the sort of secret sauce, if you will, is the being behind who you are as a leader. And the one of the examples we give is if you've ever been at a restaurant and had a server who was just going through the motions, right? Just sort of doing what they needed to do. You almost feel like they'd rather be anywhere else, but they're technically doing what needs to be done. That's a very different experience than when you are being truly served by someone who has their eye on how you're doing and what else do you need. And there's
Mhm.
a whole being there's an energy to that you can really sense. And so we talk about, well, what does that mean, for leaders? Are you even present? Are you even aware of the ripple effect that you're having, the energy that you're having when you're interacting with people?
Yeah, and it's a whole layer of like authenticity below the conversation. Are you having the conversation just to get it over with, or are you having the conversation because you really care about the person that's having an issue that's been brave enough to come with you to you with their situation
Yeah.
and express an interest in wanting it to be different.
And it's everything from how you acknowledge people. Are you just like, "Thank you," patting them on the head, kind of, not literally, but,
Yeah.
you know, or are you present and coming from a place of appreciation, like truly expressing your appreciation? That's like who you're being. There's a big difference. And we've all had leaders that their being um, impacted us. And so the conversation that we had was really about that and how do you develop that muscle. So yeah, it was really cool. I'm very grateful that Ankush, as busy as he is, he actually runs a school in London for coaches,
Mhm.
and it's always sold out. And he's just a terrific coach. So
And,
I
and
was really grateful.
we usually say to be a good leader is to be a good coach, which is why
Absolutely.
we leverage your background and experience as a peak performance coach and help bring that into our industry. I mean, we think we all know that our industry could use leaders, that better leaders, more informed leaders, leaders that are willing to not just give you all the answers, but have you come up with a solution yourself in a way that is a bit empowering as opposed to being told to do it. That old command and control model that I'm sure everyone here has heard of or sick of. It works well when it's the life or death situations, right? The 2% of the calls we do, but doesn't work so well the 98% of the time when we're dealing with human beings in an organization with a lot of human issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And being, is far more impactful than doing, you know, it really is. And I highly recommend people watch it. Um, and then we have Molly listed for today, but actually her talk was so powerful, as all these are, but we had hers out in the exhibit hall all week long. So it's one of the only presentations that you could view all week with a free pass. It's in the Northwell booth, right? Northwell, yeah.
Yes, the Northwell Center for EMS. Her team has been researching, and Molly McCampino, Dr. Molly McCampino, has been with that organization since 2015, researching EMS and the provider experience and doing industry specific research, quantitative and qualitative, mixed method research, helping us, giving us more tools to make an argument for the resources that we want our decision makers and people who hold the budget and the purse strings to decide. And rather than just being based on somebody's idea of what they think is the situation that they want to solve or what they think will solve the issue, you can point to EMS specific research here that is peer reviewed and shows you the facts. And her presentation is fantastic. There are at least 11, I believe, other papers that are all open source and researched in the Northwell Health booth. So definitely check that out. And we appreciate Northwell for supporting the EMS Leadership Summit.
And then there's the incomparable, in my opinion, Dr. Jack Pransky, an incredible human being, been studying the ideas behind how, how does performance, how do you bring out the best in people? A big part of his career was in the field of prevention. He has worked in all kinds of uh, domains with people who have struggled in life, and now he works with leaders. And he talked to me about the transformative power of deep listening, and it's one of the things that humans take for granted. It's this listening. Oh yeah, I'm listening. I got ears on my head.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know how to listen. But it's so much more than that. And I think I shared last night, my husband and I, for our 25th wedding anniversary, treated ourselves to a 3-day retreat with Dr. Jack Pransky, and there were about 20 other people in the course, and it was beyond transformational. I don't even have words to describe what a difference it made. And I've been training myself and listening for close to 30 years, and still there was a whole nother level that I didn't even know I didn't know. And so Jack really talks about that in this conversation with me. I was honored that he, you know, volunteered his time, as all our speakers do. He right now he's in Ireland, which is why he can't be with us tonight. He was very disappointed, but when he heard that I was asking him to do this for the EMS audience, he jumped at the opportunity, made his calendar available to me to pick a time to interview him, and is just like a very generous human being, and a lot of fun to talk to.
Yeah, that's great. Such a great lineup of speakers today. Folks, those sessions are available for free pass holders until 8 a.m. Eastern. So if you haven't already, you can get your free pass at emsleadershipsummit.com/playbook. And that'll also give you this lineup of speakers, as well as all the other speakers were the last 4 days. And if you would like to get your all access pass, we have that available for $97 right now. After the summit is over, that price is going to $397, which is still a great price for 32 speakers that are speaking on leadership and this conversation and weaving this conversation through this whole week. We've had so many great panelists join us live, and we definitely appreciate all of our speakers for doing this. It's been a great experience.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, did you mention the NEMSMA credits?
I
I
did
don't know
not.
if you did, but I think it's worth saying again that our friends at NEMSMA have uh, uh, have approved our 30 plus sessions for
Continuing
credits.
education credits, yes.
Exactly. So if you're interested in that kind of, accumulating those credits for the certifications that they offer, um, that's pretty cool. I believe it was 30 credits, right? That they approved, if I remember
24.
correctly. 24. I think that's how many speakers we had when we submitted it.
Yes,
Um,
24 hours.
24 hours, right? Because not everything is an hour.
Yeah.
That's why. Um, so it's 24 hours, but all the content is approved. That's what it was.
And
So that's for all access pass holders. That's one of the benefits of getting an all access pass.
just while we've got the virtual exhibitor here, I also wanted to point to CAMS, the Commission on the Accreditation of Medical Transport Systems. Please check out their booth if you're at all interested in getting your organization accredited. This is one opportunity to point to standards rather than trying to reinvent the wheel yourself with your policies that have just developed over the years. They have an entire list of standards. If you are in fixed wing, rotor wing, if you are ground transport, and if you have a mobile integrated healthcare program, a community paramedic program, they released their first set of standards about 18 months ago, I want to say, and they're working on their second set of standards. So shout out to Dudley Smith, their executive director, and he mentioned the other day that they are looking for more input. So Those standards are freely accessible with this link, and they want feedback from you, people in the field that are doing this work, and they want you to submit questions. They made it very easy to submit comments about those standards in order to develop the second set of standards. So great. We appreciate them, as well as the Emergency Responder Safety Institute. A lot of resources here for EMS organizations. They put this booth together and this list of resources together specifically for our summit to educate providers. And boy, depending on your level in your organization, there are a lot of resources when it comes to traffic incident management and reducing the amount of struck by incidents that are happening. So when first responders are struck and fatally killed working dangerous roadway incidents, they track those every year, and those numbers hover around 40 to 50 a year, and they have not seen the numbers go down. So if you know of any responders that are struck and killed, please, you can report those at respondersafety.com. And this nonprofit has put together an entire list of resources for training supervisors, training officers, instructors, safety officers, public educators, frontline responders. You can get a national TIM certification, a traffic incident management certification. And there's a huge movement because to have this certification for EMS providers because of the amount of incidents that we do respond to around traffic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I also want to do a shout out for Fire Rescue TV.
Yes.
They are live streaming us. They have been every evening, even our kickoff. We're in about 400 to 500 fire and EMS stations around the country, as well as live streaming on their platform, their LinkedIn platform, correct, or Facebook?
Facebook.
Facebook, sorry. But they have a great product, and highly recommend people go and check it out, because as you mentioned last night, Robbie, and I thought that was so important. Not everybody communicates the same way, right? We think, oh, we send an email, people are going to get it, or oh, we send, a text or something. But having this digital signage in your squad or in your firehouse really is a terrific way of getting information out to people, and and ensuring that people see it, right? Because they're coming through the station and they have an opportunity to see what's going on, and at least know to look at their email. Like you could say, check your email for this new whatever. And
Yeah, what's
so,
the frequency and methods in which we're communicating messages these days? Right? If we aren't communicating information, what's going to happen? People are more than likely going to
yeah,
make up a story about what's happening. The rumor mill starts, and it's normally not the most empowering conversation about a situation. It's usually probably the worst case scenario that our minds tend to jump to. So the more we can
yeah, and
communicate, the better.
absolutely. And more I'm seeing that email is a really difficult way to communicate, not only because we're inundated with emails, but because the firewalls have become so
Picky.
intense. I mean, yeah, like how many of our emails aren't getting through to people? And they got one email, they didn't get the next one. So we have to communicate in all kinds of different ways to try to ensure that our message gets out, not only regularly, but especially to our pass holders, both free and all access pass holders. So consider that possibility that the old methods aren't sufficient, and look into Martin's product to see if it's a good match for you at Fire Rescue TV. And we really appreciate his being our media sponsor.
We've got the Citizen CPR Foundation and Resuscitation Academy back again with a great panel discussion recorded with David Hiltz, Ann Dahl, Tom Ray, and Jim Suzy, all talking about methods to improve cardiac arrest survivability in your communities. And there are many downloadable resources here from both of these big organizations that have come together with a common mission and a common purpose on saving more lives from cardiac arrest, sudden cardiac arrest. So we so thank them for that.
And tonight's a big night for us too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
I was just going to, we are, it's going to be our second time premiering the Honorable But Broken EMS in Crisis documentary. We are just beyond honored that Bryony and her team have allowed us to be the first to do a virtual premiere. We had a matinee on Thursday, at 2:00 or 2:30, whatever it was, and we had an amazing turnout of people and a very lively discussion after the show, after the movie was over. Bryony joined us, and she's going to be joining us again tonight. So the movie's going to be, we're going to show it at 7:30.
Yep.
So still time to get your tickets. If you're an all access pass holder, you automatically have a ticket. So as you see on your screen, you just go to that bottom button and it'll take you to the virtual theater. If you don't yet have a ticket, go to that button, and that it's $15, and that entire amount will go to the charity supporting the documentary. And I was so impressed. I know, Robbie, you had seen it. You went to New York to see it. I couldn't go that day. And so my first time seeing it was on Thursday, and I was blown away. First of all, it's just well done, very well done. But to see the experience up close like that was, I don't have words for how impactful that was.
Powerful,
and I could
powerful telling of the situations that we know for many years that have made worse by the pandemic, and it's a really great advocacy tool that we hope gets out there.
Yes, definitely. And not only does she tell the story, or they tell the story, but at the end there's a whole section on what we can do. How do we move from where we are to where we want to be? And I was grateful for that too, because now I feel empowered to do something. And for those of you watching, this isn't just for EMS folks to watch. This is for anyone who's interested in understanding what this is like. So you have family members or friends who, think they know about EMS or think they know what it's like. They still won't know, but they'll have a better idea after watching this movie.
A more informed public, and especially I'm more interested in the elected officials getting to see this and being an eye opener for them. So, we do have a trailer that we can play for this, so we'll go ahead and cue that up. In just a moment. Let me just scroll. Okay, I'll just play it.
I worked in New York City in spring of 2020, and we were pretty hard hit. It was kind of like a 9/11 every day.
It was so bleak during that time, seeing the cries and screams of people, seeing the disparity that I'm the one working on the road, no one else is on the road, and I'm taking people to the hospital, and that may be the last time they're interacting with that family member or their loved one. It got to a point where I broke.
You can freak out in the ambulance, and then when we're inside, then we're calm and collected, because we have to reassure them that we're there to help them, and then that we know what we're doing. And even if inside we're oh my God.
When the pandemic hit, many people worked from home. That wasn't an opportunity that 911 EMS was afforded.
They're the third uniformed service. Their job is as dangerous as police and fire. They have been right up in the front lines taking care of very sick COVID patients, constantly exposed to infectious disease.
We met people who have been in it for a lifetime, and they've never seen it more sort of broken than it is now.
I think many people assume incorrectly that EMS is considered this quote-unquote essential service. And unfortunately, in many of the legislative frameworks, EMS was just left out.
One of the biggest challenges with EMS, the way that it is structured today, is the funding mechanism, the economic model.
All across this country, EMS agencies can't recruit, retain, and staff ambulances to a point to ensure the public safety.
One of the biggest disservices that I believe as a very high productive and financially sound country is when we can't take care of our own.
I believe our rural areas are the alarm sounding. We want people to know that this is a crisis that they need to pay attention to.
Particularly rural areas don't have the required EMS coverage. When someone calls 911, there's no assurance that they can get an ambulance.
People always want to talk about the cost of responding to the call, whereas we should be talking about the cost of readiness to respond to the call.
We need to have full-time paid personnel at adequate salaries who have chosen this as a profession. This is a noble profession.
As an EMS worker, it's very difficult to live off of one salary. Therefore, I have to work at several different agencies just to pay my bills.
EMS has not been considered and viewed as a required essential services for the what-ifs. And is that, as a society, something that we are willing to fund and pay for? That's where it starts.
All we're doing with essential services is saying that this is a critical piece of public safety, much like fire and police, and that we want a bill to be able to make sure that this essential service gets funded appropriately and it can deliver the service that the public expects.
It doesn't translate into money per se under state law to simply call something an essential service. We have to rebuild the EMS system from the ground up to create a system that has enough money to sustain itself.
Again, such a powerful storytelling of the work that we and in the industry do all the time that the public really has no idea the full story of. If the system was fractured before, it certainly has been magnified since the pandemic, and everyone is feeling the results of that. People are tired, people are exhausted. The 4 years has felt like dog years and probably been enough for 20 years worth of somebody's experience. If they've made it this far, but with turnover rates being so high that we really need to look at other innovative ways to help retain people. And especially if people are going to be facing these traumas, they should have the tools to deal with them.
Yeah, and I think, one of the two of our speakers, Wendy Lund and Megan McLaren. The McLaren, sorry. Wendy has been talking about this for a long time. Like, when are we going to prepare people for taking care of themselves? Right? They're in their process of training. They get prepared to take care of other people, but really they get left out of the equation. And then, Megan's organization, which is one of our sponsors, the Before Operational Stress. Is really designed it's an evidence-based program that's designed to help people before they get into the mental health issues and struggle. This is really to prepare people on how to cope with and thrive through, really, not just cope, but really thrive through what's happening. And I think that's a unique perspective, both Wendy and Wei found, because as a society we've all we're really good at mopping up or trying to mop up after the mess, but really preventative, proactive, recognizing that this is a tough field, right? This isn't a walk in the park. This is a tough field to be in for the strongest. For everyone, it's a tough field, and so to give people the tools ahead of time I think is essential. And there's a free giveaway in the Wayfound booth. We're going to be, before we end today, we're going to be drawing the prize, but it's a free um, it's a free course. So one person will win a opportunity to do their course for absolutely free. And the before operational stresses is just a terrific program, a well done training. So make sure you enter to win before we end today.
And we will keep that open through the end, I think, and we'll draw. So there's still time tonight to enter to win, and then we will contact the person who wins before the summit is over.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just looking at my list here. One of the questions, we've had some real themes this week, right? And one of the big themes was how do we let people know what's happening, right? And so we've talked about that, in many ways. And certainly the movie that we're going to be showing is a big part of that. But I think one of the other really important themes that we've been hearing about is this idea of how do we keep the best of in the field, right? Like how do we prevent people from leaving, essentially? And there's a lot of different ideas about what that might be. And we had a great discussion last night with Scott and Corey about that. And one of the things that's fascinating to me, and I know it's you and I, it's our wheelhouse, right, is leadership. Because Gallup shows, other studies have shown that people don't leave organizations, they leave their managers, they leave their supervisors. And when people have an experience of being able to give their best, being able to connect, they feel connected, that they're far more likely to stay. They're not going to leave a job where they feel so well cared for a small amount of money. They're just not, because especially the younger generations, because they value meaning so much more than the generations that came before. They want their life to be meaningful. They want to be a part of something. They want to be challenged. How about that? That's one of the latest attributes that I've been reading about with this younger generation is they want to feel challenged. They don't want to do rote things. What better profession here than meaning, the ability to connect with clients and patients. And now we need to get better at being able to do that within the organization. And that starts with leadership as far as I'm concerned.
And it reminds me of the last summit that we did. Dr. Angelo Caravaggio in Canada extensively researched this topic and actually created a leadership development program for the Canadian Armed Forces. And he talks about, you and I have heard this whole idea of like leader, are you a leader, or you're a manager? And it kind of labels one as good or bad. And he says that we're all leaders with management responsibilities, and we're either effective or ineffective in our jobs. And I feel like that language just lands so well that you could be a leader that is just ineffective. And it doesn't label you as a bad leader. It's just you can make the choice to be an effective leader if you have the right tool set, which is why you and I talk a lot about how do we give managers and supervisors, leaders with management responsibilities, the tools of how to deal with people in situations that are inevitably going to come up before they're put into a leadership position, or at least when they are promoted, they get some certain set curriculum of leadership training and not just giving them a bunch of information, right?
Yeah.
People have tons of experiences and stories about what is good or bad, but really helping them see a new point of view, raising their self-awareness, having more emotional self-control, and how do you build better relationships with people? Like all of these are ways of being more effective leader. And you and I put an entire curriculum together for the industry. So that's something we've termed the EMS Leadership Academy's Foundations for Effective Leadership program. So that program we're going to be premiering this June.
Yeah, and the thing that I think is so important is when you talk about whenever you're ineffective at anything, that means you're on a learning curve, right? Well, the thing about leadership is the learning curve doesn't end, and nor should it. We talk about a lot of people in the industry have been in their leadership positions for 20, 30, 40 years and think that, they don't need training. And the reality is that we don't have the same phones that we had 10, 20 years ago. We don't have the same computers we had 10, 20 years ago. We don't have the same monitors in our ambulances. We don't have the same uh, tools. How many of us have all new equipment, right? Or at least updated equipment? But why do we think leadership shouldn't be updated?
Right.
Why do we think that the what worked arguably, I don't even know if it ever worked, but what we used 40 years ago, 30 years ago, this paramilitary model, why don't we appreciate that all things have to be upgraded, up leveled? And this is an opportunity to really up level your own leadership, to move along the learning curve so that you can be effective no matter the circumstances, no matter the age of the people you're leading, no matter what, that you can be effective because our programs are designed to be transformational in nature. So what that means is it affects how you could say how you be as a leader for sure, but it's also how you see life. You're not seeing things the same way anymore. So you start to see things in a whole new light, which allows you to respond versus react. You're not reacting from the past about some default leadership style that isn't relevant. You're actually responding in the moment to what's needed and how to empower the person you're leading to make good decisions. It's an incredible opportunity for people, if I do say so myself.
And we built an entire studio that you're in right now. It's basically a television studio, a whole wall of television screens where we get to give everyone a front row seat, right? This is, we are all in a virtual experience, and not this one way experience you're having right now. If you're watching this, that's a one way stream. We're talking about being live with us in the room for the entire experience and coming up side by side with people in the audience, having a conversation, hearing all the yeah buts, right? We love to hear people not just like taking in this information. We also like to hear them push back a little bit and say, well, what about this situation? And then we get to, if they're willing and open, we can coach them through what they're dealing with. And they have those, we love to call them aha moments, those big moments where they just start to see things differently and they get to try it out. Because you and I have said many times that, don't just take our word for it. Just try it out for yourself. And then let us know how. Experiment.
Yeah. Testing it is really the key. And the 3-day model really allows people to do that. So, this last program we did, we had someone who, shared at the very beginning, they were fairly new, 6 months or 8 months in the job and wanted to do things differently. And all they kept feeling was that people were treating them like every other leader, and he wanted to come in and affect change, and he was so frustrated. He's like, I finally got to a leadership position and I'm not making any difference. I got all these naysayers and complainers, and everybody's got an attitude with me. And so by the end of the first day, he had this huge insight, and he came back day 2 and shared with us. He's like, "Can I share? Can I share?" We're like, "Yeah, of course." And he said he had this insight that every time somebody came in, because he was so overwhelmed by the number of things he had to do, every time someone came into his office or stopped him in the hall or whatever, or called him or whatever, how he was acting was they were an interruption because he had all this work to do. So then when he would go talk to them, they were reacting to who he was being and how he was treating them. And he saw that he was not instigating, what's the word? He was making it happen, initiating it by being gruff when they came to talk to him because he was busy and it was such a blind spot. And that's really what happens in our programs is people become aware of their blind spots and now they can take new action. If it's a blind spot, it's what you don't know, you don't know. That's not on you. You can't do anything about something you can't see, right? So I just love that. That's one example. I mean, we could share thousands of them, but that was one of the most recent examples on day one, between day one and day two. And that's why we like doing it 3 days in a row, because people can test it out. They go back, to work, or they go back to their crews and they talk, and then they try new things and they come back and, oh, this worked or this didn't. And it's awesome.
Can you talk for a moment about our strategy behind, like our framework behind this, why this training works the way it does for people a little bit?
Yeah, well, and it came from experience, like, way back when you and I first met, and I was doing programs for lots of, and I still do, but for lots of organizations, and then started working with you and your organization before the EMS Leadership Academy even existed. And we worked with you, right? And you started to see things differently, which then led us, because that's the first step in our framework, is you as a leader have to be open and willing to see what is your impact. Where are your blind spots? So you start to initiate change at the level of self. And that change has a ripple effect. And people want to be around that kind of ripple effect. They want to be connected to their leaders. And so the second part of our framework is change at the level of others. In my humble opinion, this is where I think a lot of leadership programs don't do enough, is they don't help people know how to interact with others and how to bring out the best in others. And I think that's something we excel at. Not only the transformation of yourself, but how do you help others be the best they can be? And so that's the second leg of our framework, is to develop others. As a leader, we say to be a great leader is to be a great coach. And so we teach you how to communicate, how to listen, how to offer feedback in a way that people are open to it. So it's
Right.
not just
Non-threatening.
advice. Right. It's not advice giving or telling people what to do, which doesn't work in the long term. It might work in the very short term, but mostly people don't like to be told what to do. Anybody?
Right.
Anybody like to be told what to do? No, not me.
And again,
Nope. But
Lisa will say, this is the 98% of the time in your organization where problems are arising. It's not the 2% of the time where somebody's life is on the line, where somebody's not defibrillating somebody. You need to make sure, okay, we will defibrillate. That's command and control. This is the majority of the time. And unfortunately, we've been really good clinicians, but that doesn't translate well into helping bring out the best in other people.
Yeah. And so that's the second leg. And then the third leg is, now that you are transforming yourself, your other people are transforming, now it's a great opportunity to say, okay, how do we create an organization or a team, a system, if you will, that brings out what we most want? So rather than, okay, what are the areas we need to fix? What's wrong here? Which demoralizes people. It's, what do we want to create? Our framework is, and we have evidence for this, that every result you have in your organization is a result of the way the leaders operate and the way the system is designed. And often the leaders are operating consistent with the design of the organization. So the way that we work allows for change to start to happen right away by leaders changing themselves and then working with their people. And then the third leg of bringing people together and creating a magnetic environment, and to start to see, what do we need to design differently to produce the results we most want to produce. And so that's how you create, you really get a grassroots initiative. People want more of what they want, and you're the leader helping them point in the direction they want to go.
And we cover topics of accountability, holding people accountable, taking responsibility. Those are like hot button issues that leaders want to give both their management team, and they want to learn themselves.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you have to start with yourself. You have to be willing to go, where am I not being accountable? Where am I not being who I said I was going to be? Where am I saying one thing and doing another, right? How am I communicating that I have people who aren't listening or who aren't performing, right? If you can own that, if you can really see like, oh, that has something to do with me. That's not absolving other people of their responsibility, but it's taking responsibility for your own impact. And then again, people rise to the occasion, right? You talk down to people, if you blame people, that's the level you're going to have. But if you speak to their greatness, if you look for what works about them and how to build that, you're going to have people who want to be around you and are going to recruit their friends, and they're going to recruit other people because they're going to be like, this is the best place to work in the whole world. And I've seen that happen in so many places where I've consulted and done work, and that happened with you and I, Robbie.
Yeah.
People were coming from 2 towns over to volunteer, folks. They weren't even getting paid.
2 counties away.
2 counties.
I mean, yeah, it was wild. It was wild, those experiences, and it's not just my experience of what happened. We've seen it over and over again with other organizations. We've seen it in industry, multi-million, and even into the billion-dollar companies implement these strategies and have massive results because they're at least willing to try something differently and not do more of the same. So, folks, if you are interested, we do have a 3-day training, June 4th, 5th, and 6th. It starts at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's live. It's from our studio. Everybody gets a front row seat. You don't have to deal with the hassles of travel and the expenses of travel. And we've got a quick 1-minute video about it. And it does say EMS Leadership Live, and we're rebranding that to the Foundations for Effective Leadership.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the EMS Leadership Live virtual training.
Leadership is not just a competency, it's also a system.
And with our new challenges with recruitment and retention, we definitely have to come up with some really revolutionary, transformational things to solve these problems.
Can't expect everyone else to change if you're not willing and open to see a new perspective, to change yourself, to refine.
We can strategize all we want, but setting the culture in order is what matters.
The blind spots, just what about the things I don't know that I don't know?
When we think about retention and attrition rates across the board, we need leaders who really embody the ups and downs of resiliency and how to cultivate well-being.
So, folks, don't just take our word for it. You can go to emsleadershipacademy.com/live, and there are many testimonials at the bottom, videos of people sharing what they got out of the training. And I would encourage you to check it out. Be willing to experiment with something new if you're interested in getting new results.
If you go to our booth, there is a information there, and there's, I believe, a discount, right, for during the time of the summit. So if you're interested, we've had organizations, we had an organization in Alaska send 5 people. We've had people, hold leadership teams join us. One of the things we're able to do because of the platform that we have is break people into small groups. We do a great deal of that. So you can learn not only from other people from other regions, but you can work with your own team if you're working on something in particular. So it really is a very interactive, very transformational program that feels like you're, like Robbie said, it's a front row seat. It's not a Zoom. You're just watching a boring Zoom. It's anything but that.
Well, shout out to Julianne Stevenson, who sent me a message about that promo. Thank you, Julianne. And folks, if you are interested, we hope to see you there. We so love doing that training and getting to meet people from around the world. And I remember having folks from the joining us from the United Kingdom, the Dubai, and different areas that were up till 4 a.m. because of the time change, but they were engaged. I will not forget how we had somebody from Alaska to Dubai and Belize, and it was just amazing to see all these people connecting, all with the same concerns and issues and desires of wanting to make their organization better, which I think was a really great experience for us. So
yeah, when else are you going to get to meet somebody from Dubai or Belize, right? And
I know,
and interview them about what they're doing, and that, you know, so excited to hear what we're doing in the US, and it's a wonderful experience. I'm so grateful that we're able to do that. And you know, we used to do a lot of live training. We'd go to the different places, and you know, by the time we flew there, and
or drove
hotels
hours and hours
and
and hours.
drove, oh my God, people don't realize how big New York is, but it's like, you know, forever to get to the other side of the state. And you know, it's a very expensive proposition for us to be on the road, to be in a hotel, be away from home, a day of travel, 3 days of training, a
Who can
day
get their
home.
whole leadership team or afford to have their entire organization attend a
No.
training like that? Because you need at least 30 people in the room to have an effective
Yeah.
training.
So this way, people can send multiple people. We offer it 1 or 2 times a year. So, you know, you can send some people to one and send some people to another. So, again, I know it sounds like we're just going on and on about it, but we just love it. We love doing it. We love providing the EMS community with this opportunity, because it's so needed. You know, you talk about recruitment and retention.
Yeah. Stop
Leadership
recruiting
is one place to affect that.
and stop recruiting people into a poor performing organization. If your organization is just spitting people out the other end, then you probably don't want to keep recruiting people at the pace you are. And if you do that, you're just going to burn out your mid-level managers and supervisors, and you're going to have more trouble on your hands. And that's where we keep pointing back to: fix the culture of your organization first. Create an organization that isn't going to have people fall through the cracks. And it's going to be a much more effective recruitment process. So we could talk all night about recruitment and retention, but we do want to wrap everything up. We have 30 minutes to hop on over to our Honorable But Broken EMS in Crisis live virtual premiere happening in 30 minutes, folks. So you're going to head on over to the exhibit booth, click on log into theater, check your email. We send it by text as well, a special link, and you can log in with your email address, and we'll hopefully see you there for that live virtual premiere and a 30-minute wrap up. So it's an hour-long movie and a 30-minute wrap up with to take your questions with Bryony Gilby, the film's director. Whew, Lisa, what a powerful 5 days. Thank you to all of our speakers, everybody watching that is so passionate about this topic. You do keep us going. We appreciate you and what you're doing out there.
And thank you to our sponsors. And even if you haven't bought a ticket or you're not going to see any of the presenters, we highly recommend that you go to the emsleadershipsummit.com/exhibit, and please give some love to our sponsors. They all have some free or discounted thing in their booth. Just like when you go to an in-person training, you know, there's plenty of opportunities, and their generosity is staggering. I mean, just amazing what people have on offer in their booth. So please go and check them out.
And if you want to watch more of the free sessions, they're available until 8 a.m. Eastern. The price on the all access pass is $97 right now. It's going to $397 when this is over. It's still worth it at $397, but get your all access pass for $97. You get lifetime access to all these amazing speaker sessions from this year's summit, NEMSMA approved CME credits, MP3s to learn on the go, and more bonuses. So,
all right, we'll see you at the movies. I got to go make popcorn.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching with us tonight, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Rob.